Hi, I'm Jonathan Osting, a politics reporter for MLive.com, and I've been covering the state's road funding debate for about as long as I can remember. One of the most common questions I get from readers is, why can't state government just fix the roads with the money we already pay in taxes? Michigan Governor Rick Snyder recently signed a $54.5 billion budget. That's billion with a B. So why is it he and lawmakers can't find the $1.2 billion a year they say they need to fix the state's roads? Turns out the $54.5 billion figure is a little misleading. That includes federal revenue sources, which the state can't reallocate, and restricted state funding that is directed to certain priorities by law. Fuel taxes and registration fees, for instance, are restricted funds that the state can only spend on transportation. After all that, the state is left with about $10 billion in general fund money. Those are dollars that lawmakers can freely move around each year during the budget process. General fund revenue accounts for around 20% of the budget. Okay, so $10 billion. Still, there's got to be $1.2 billion in there somewhere, right? Well, it's still not that easy, because general fund dollars are used to fund some fairly important programs. About $1.4 billion of that goes to K-12 schools, community colleges, and universities. Roughly $4 billion goes to the Department of Health and Human Services, which runs programs for some of the state's most vulnerable residents. And a good chunk of that money is used to obtain federal match dollars, so cutting state dollars in one area could jeopardize federal funding. Another $1.9 billion goes to the Department of Corrections, and major savings there would require reforms in sentencing and parole guidelines, which is a whole other debate. So right there you've got $7.3 billion. That leaves about $2.7 billion in general fund money to pay for everything else in state government, from state police to the judiciary to the Department of Environmental Quality, and so on. When all was said and done, lawmakers managed to find about $400 million in general fund money to put towards roads next year. Finding more isn't as easy as it might sound, which is why the governor and some lawmakers are still looking at ways to generate new revenue for roads.